Hi and welcome to this film review of Mary Poppins Returns. Today was a triple bill day. I've been hitting 3 films today at the cinema, and I've just come out of seeing Mary Poppins, so I will start straight away with that review. Let's go straight from the top and we'll hit the usual criteria. Do you need to see it at the cinema? What do I score it? Where should you sit? Should you hang around till the end? And in terms of a score, I can't give it anything other than a 7 out of 10. I'm not a fan of musicals personally. I would never normally go and see a musical. That said, the absolute classics I do like. How can you not like Grease? Obviously I love the original Mary Poppins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. But modern ones, like even Mamma Mia. I love ABBA. How can you not like ABBA? But I've never gone and seen Mamma Mia because I just think if I want to listen to ABBA songs, I'll stick a CD on rather than go to the cinema. So just to get it out there, I'm not a fan of musicals, and this film, I was kind of looking forward to it ending. I felt like I had to tick it off. You know, such a big film, Mary Poppins Returns. I felt like I had to go and see it at the cinema. I know other people had seen it. I think my parents had gone and seen it. I asked what they thought, and she was like, nah. And that's kind of how I felt about it. But I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 because it wasn't a terrible film. It was just, it didn't, you know, for me, it wasn't brilliant. But I do acknowledge the fact that it was still an okay film, you know, made by Disney. So, do you need to see it at the cinema? Now, I would say no. Definitely not. I mean, if you're taking kids and you've got to pay, you know, best part of a tenner each, nah, just a couple of months' time, it's going to be out on DVD. Get it on DVD, and then you and the kids can watch it as many times as you want. Just like the first film, I've never seen the first film at the cinema. I've only ever watched it at home, and that doesn't spoil the enjoyment. There's none of the cinematic, you know, amazing effects that, like, unless you see it at the cinema, you know, you won't appreciate it. You know, definitely works just as well for me on the screen at home. So don't stress about going to the cinema to see it if it's going to cost you full price, you know, for the family. In terms of where you sit, if you do go to the cinema, anywhere really, probably in the middle. Again, it doesn't have a lot of in-your-face amazing effects, so you don't really have to be at the front to appreciate them. You could just as well sit at the back. I don't think it really matters too much where you sit for this particular film. Do you need to hang around until the end? Well, that's a big fat no. I waited so long that basically by the time I left the film, the screen, they'd put the rail across because they didn't expect anyone still to be in there. I was like the last person to leave, stayed right till the end. There was no bonus features, no bonus material. So basically, as soon as the film ends and the credits start to roll, you can shoot off. You know, by all means, you might want to take a quick glimpse at who some of the main characters were as the cast starts to roll, but there's no pictures or bonus features or anything like that to hang around for. So yeah, by all means, as soon as the movie ends, get yourself going, you can shoot off. What else do we need to cover? So yeah, that's kind of basically the key summary points. Now I want to talk about a few things. I'll ensure I don't give any spoilers away, because that's the whole nature of my reviews, not to give any clues and any spoilers. But let's just paint the scene. I'm in my mid-30s, and the first Mary Poppins film, for me and people my age and older, no doubt, because I know how much my parents like it, the first Mary Poppins films is an absolute masterpiece. It's a classic, you know. It's just a beautiful family movie, and probably if you don't have a family, it's probably a guff movie, I don't know. But for me personally, what Mary Poppins is about is every time I watch it, it makes me think of my gran, because those were the kind of movies I would always watch with my gran. Maybe for you it was your parents, but it was more my gran that used to take me and my sister to Disney films and watch them with us, you know. And the first Mary Poppins films is the kind of film by my age that you've probably seen, you know, 20 times or something. It's on most Christmases. You make a point of watching it with a family because it's a kind of movie that everyone enjoys. So that's where I stand on Mary Poppins. And when I found out they were doing another one, I was quite angry, because at first I thought they were remaking it, which made no sense, because how do you remake a masterpiece? You can't. You're only going to make it worse. Look at Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The first one is brilliant. Johnny Depp comes along, can't stand it. It's horrible. And then all they ever show on TV is the Johnny Depp version when it's terrible. Anyway, rant over. So I love Mary Poppins. I was really gutted when I found out they were making a new one, but then I realised it was a sequel. I thought, okay. It's later in time when the two kids, Michael and Jane, have grown up. I thought that makes sense. I can see how that is logical. But still, I was thinking, it can't possibly be as good as the first one. It's just too big a movie to live up to. So I was kind of going in there massively negative, totally expecting it to be kind of pants, a letdown, disappointing. And it kind of was in many respects. Like I say, I'm not a fan of musicals, and every single song was just like, oh, please just end, when the songs weren't on, it was an okay movie, didn't mind it. But like I say, the songs, first time you heard them, they weren't amazingly catchy. They weren't overly annoying, don't get me wrong. They weren't cringy songs. They were okay. But the songs from the first movie are just amazing. And these were okay. I don't know, maybe if you hear them 20 times, like a CD, you listen to it over and over and the songs start to grow on you. That could happen, but for me, none particularly that stand out. So I would like to talk about a couple of things that kind of annoyed me about the movie. I'll try and make them non-spoiler elements. Firstly, I'll talk about what I enjoyed. Just like in the first one, the bank scene and situation I kind of found quite interesting, because excuse me, I've got involved with a lot of research with the banking system and understanding exactly how it works and what a big... just don't even go there. So the banking system annoys me. I hate the banking system. And there was a part in this movie that had the banking system as referenced. I don't want to say too much, but the bank was in the movie again, same bank as what was the original bank from the original movie. And I like that, because I thought that is so true. I mean, obviously this is a movie, it's a made up story. I do know that, but it painted the banking system in the light that I see the banking system, where they are basically only out for themselves and they will screw you, if they can. So that was enjoyable. I got a kick out of that. But the storyline as a whole was okay. The characters weren't as lovable as the first one. There was no there was a lot of parallels. So what they've basically done is they've looked at the first movie and they've said, right, let's just copy the first movie in every single way, but we'll just change the characters and we'll change the storyline ever so slightly. I mean, does that sound like good ingredients for a good sequel? Sorry, that is lazy sequel making. Think of any other movie, if they just copied the first movie. I mean, maybe there's a lot out there. I haven't spent any time thinking about it. There's probably loads of examples. But basically, they've taken each individual scene from the first movie and duplicated it in this new movie. Obviously they've changed it slightly, but every single scene in the new Mary Poppins Return movie, every single scene makes you think, yes, that's the chimney sweep scene from the first movie, or yes, that's the nursery room scene, or yes, that's the where they jump into the picture scene. Everything is just duplicated. And you'd think it'd have that nostalgic, yes, it reminds me of that, but it wasn't. It just kind of felt like they'd been massively unimaginative in creating the story, to be honest. Maybe I'm being overly harsh there. Maybe I'm just a grumpy old man who doesn't have my own kids, so, didn't feel the magic of the movie. And maybe if I'd have watched it with my gran, maybe I would have loved it. I probably would. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. So lazy, a complete duplication of the first one, which sounds good because the first movie was so good. But if they'd kept the same songs and just copied the first movie and kept the same songs, it would have probably been amazing. You know, if they'd had all the same songs but a slightly different storyline, that would have probably been ingredients for a cracking sequel. But then, you know, that's just me. You know, it's probably a stupid idea to keep the original songs. You know, they'd never do that. But that's just my ideas. That's my thought thrown into the mix. So yeah, duplication of scenes was weird. But the thing that really bothers me now, I haven't heard any other film reviews critiques of this movie because basically I don't want to listen to them. I'm sick to death of film critics telling you all about the movie, thinking that they haven't, thinking that they've just reviewed the movie, but what they've actually done is told you everything about the movie so that when you go into it there's no surprises, and it's so unbelievably annoying. So I haven't heard any film reviews about Mary Poppins, and I cannot wait to, now that I've seen it, start listening to them, because I always like to listen to film reviews and see what other people think of the movie and hear movies discussed. I love it. But I like to see the movie myself first, wherever possible. And I am going to assume that every film critic out there is baffled by why Mary Poppins is German. She's not even played by... I mean, I'm pretty sure Emily Blunt, I'm pretty sure she's a British actor. So you'd think pulling off a British accent for an actor who is already British would be a doddle. You know, obviously she has to be a little bit posh and well-to-do like Mary Poppins, but, you know, that's easy. Anyone can do that. You just copy Jacob Rees-Mogg or whatever, you know. But seriously, it was just... I actually hated Mary Poppins in this movie. Not because of the German accent. I don't want to sound anti-German or anything. Jesus. Don't want that to come across in the wrong way. But, I don't know, I've kind of always had a bit of a thing with Mary Poppins. She's a bit up her own arse. She's like, oh, I am so perfect. And she's always admiring herself in the mirror. The vanity. I can't stand that. I absolutely can't stand people that are vain like that. And Mary Poppins wears vanity with a badge of honour. And everyone worships, oh, it's Mary Poppins. Or, you know, I kind of hate Mary Poppins. But in this, straight away, I'm like, as soon as I heard her talk, I'm like, why the hell have you got a German accent? It's like, have you accidentally done that? Are you so crap an actor when it comes to voices that you are trying to do a posh British accent and you've accidentally given yourself a German twang to it? And has nobody picked up on that? Has nobody told, hey, Emily Blunt, dude, you sound a little bit Germanish, you know, like a little bit Austrian German type twang to your accent. Try and just sound British, yeah? Because Mary Poppins, unless I'm missing something, I'm no expert of the books or anything, but I did watch the making of Mary Poppins over Christmas, yeah, Saving Mr. Banks and stuff, you know, and I don't remember any German heritage to Mary Poppins, and certainly in the first original movie there was no German accent. And it's supposed to be the same Mary Poppins, right? It's a sequel, so, you know, the kids from the original Mary Poppins are in it, not the actual kids, but the characters' names. And therefore Mary Poppins is supposed to be the same character, but she comes back. Maybe she's been to Germany. That could be it. Maybe she's been nannying in Germany for the past 20 years. So she's got a German accent. But it was kind of annoying me. Really annoying me, in fact. And then she sings a song, and guess what? She sings in a Cockney accent. So what, now she's lived in London her whole life, Mary Poppins? I thought she was just supposed to have a posh British accent, not a Cockney accent. And most people, when they sing, lose their accent. Let's listen to someone who's, say, Irish or Scottish, except for the, you know, the Proclaimers and such like. But most people lose, and Scouse people, the Beatles, you know, hear them talk, they're Scouse. Hear them sing, no accent. But Mary Poppins sings and has an all of a sudden massively Cockney accent. That annoyed me. So I'm sorry, there were a few things that I found massively annoying. And then there's some potential reasoning, or should I say logical justification, to why Mary Poppins might have a German accent. So again, don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's a part of the film you will totally know what I mean, where you think, okay, so there's some German linkage going on here with Mary Poppins. But my original point remains, she didn't have that in the original. So if she didn't have a German accent in the original, why is there a need to all of a sudden introduce this German heritage in the second movie? It just didn't make sense. So it was kind of like the justification was there. Okay, now I can see why there's some German twang to her accent, but it still didn't make sense because the original Mary Poppins, there was no Germanness involved at all. So I found that really strange. I would love to know what you think, so please leave your comments, let me know what you think about the whole German accent. Maybe I'm tripping, maybe there was no German accent, maybe in my head I'm making it up, but I felt right from the start, I felt like I could hear one. It sounded totally German, the accent, and then there was this part halfway through that made me think, okay, more German links going on here. Now that makes, that explains where the accents come from, but maybe there wasn't supposed to be a German accent. Like I say, I literally cannot wait to hear other people's films review, see whether they thought the same about it as me, see whether they're as critique as me on the accent, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. Just wanted to get some of that stuff off my chest. I'd love to know if you thought the same. Probably blokes my age without kids probably feel exactly the same. They probably wouldn't even bother going and seeing the film actually, but hopefully if you went with your family you enjoyed it, and if you haven't seen it yet, feel free to just buy the DVD and then you can watch it over and over again and get those songs repeating in your head and see whether they grow on you. That would be my recommendation. Save the family 25-30 quid, however much it costs you to go to the cinema, and just get the DVD. That's what I would do. So until the next review, see you on the next one. Goodbye.